Hi folks, this is John from Optics EQ, and today's race of the day, October the 13th, is Gulfstream Park West, race 4. And we're going to show you how we selected this race and maybe potentially how you can evaluate and play it. So we started with scan. We used Optics Scan. So what you do is you select the date that you want to look at, and tomorrow is going to be the 13th, and we click on scan. And what it does, it brings up all the different races at all the different tracks that fit at least our initial scan criteria. And then we give the user the option to, really select or filter what they want to look at. And in my case, what I like to do is I really like to look at the non-reds. So you see there's a number next to each of those little circles. And anything that's greater than 3 is considered non-red. So that's just the way to do that, and you'll see the numbers next to it, so you can, that's how you can filter on that. Secondly, I like to look at Q change to be green, and that's just when it's no. And what that means is it's really saying that the standard filter on the plot and the surface and distance are similar, and it really kind of takes out horses that maybe be trying to surface for the first time or switching surface, or just a lot of randomness in the plots, and I think it just makes the plot a little bit more reliable. So those are the criteria I use. Other people have different criteria. It depends on what you're looking at. Some people want to look at chaos, and pick plot fits that are red. This is the approach I use when I'm using plot as a starting point. And then what I do is I go down one race at a time, and I just kind of try to evaluate the position of the favorites in the plot. So I'm going to pick our race, which is Gulfstream Park West, race 4, and I want to look at the horses that are shaded in green. And the default filter is morning line. So any horse that's less than or equal to 3 is highlighted. And there's 2 here. There's the 10. Maritime Pulpit, which is a main track only, so we can ignore this horse. It looks like the weather is going to be good at Gulfstream Park West for tomorrow, and we're going to just handicap this race as it's staying on the turf. So it's a mile on the turf. You can see up in some of the header information. And if you look at the header information, the contention looks flame, which looks like it's going to be contentious, and the speed rating's high. So, typically we probably would be evaluating horses from off the pace first here, because that looks like that has the potential based on those parameters. But let's look at the plot itself. I just kind of visually look at that, and you can see Job's Blazing Aaron. And if I hover over, you can see his optics run style is E4 or E3 91.0. What does that mean? It means this horse does his best running on the front. The E3 means he's had 3 races where he's run competitively as the leader, an E horse, an early pace horse. Not pressing, but on the lead. The 91 is just his speed figure that's best. And the 0 means is the farthest he's been in a competitive race, when he's run a competitive race, the farther at the second call he's been. 0 lengths tells us this horse really likes to do it on the front end. And it looks like he's going to have some contentions there with the 8 and the 4 and the 6. So he by no means does he look like a shoe-in. So now we're intrigued. We think we have a favorite that might be vulnerable, and we want to kind of drill down a little bit. So the next thing we do is we're going to open up the grid, and we do not have notes for Gulfstream Park West. So what we're going to have to do is rely on our information in the grid, which is plentiful, the speed figures and some of the other pace information to help us kind of evaluate these contenders. So the first thing we want to do, we've done this already, so I don't want to kind of go through it. We've got videos on it. But first thing we always like to do is understand the range, or the speed figure is going to be needed to win this race. It's almost like a par, but it's better because we kind of take recency and so forth into the mix and so on. So we've already done this. It's between 82 and 88. If you want to look at how we do this, there is a short video on this out there, so on YouTube. But we've already done this, so we've got an optics fig range that's between 82 and 88. So what are we going to do with that? So, we want to look at horses that kind of fit that lower end, or better than, or are fast enough to compete. So we want to look at optics figs that are greater than or equal to 82. And we want to make sure we're on the right surface. So we're going to say turf, route, And we're gonna open it up. We're gonna make this 18 months. Okay, we want to make sure we're roughly 18 months. We're gonna do July 1st of last year, just to get a broad range. We don't want to kind of short anybody. So let's select that, and you can see the list gets a little bit shrunk down. But you can see that there's a lot of horses that fit this criteria. So this tells me, just from a speed figure perspective, this is a contentious race. This doesn't take into current form anything, but just tells you that there are a lot of horses that are capable of winning this race, running their best race. Okay? So typically when I look at a race like this, and especially with the initial assessment of the favorite, I want to look at horses that are greater than or equal to 5-1. I think this is a kind of race that's a great, probably contest race if you play contest, because I think you can go for a horse that's greater than 5-1, and you have a shot because pretty much everyone with the exception of the 6, looks capable of fast enough to win this race. Okay, so the next thing we do is, again, we look back. Remember we were talking about the contention in the speed rating race. We think this race is going to be fast early and contentious. So why don't we let the filter also reflect that? So let's look. We're going to unhide some columns here. These are our race shape columns. And you can see what these are, the race shape. Now, this is not the particular horse, but the race shape of the race that this horse was in. So a slow 5, fast 2, and a fast 2.8. So that's just, again, and it's based on track surface and distance. So we think today's race is going to be fast. So what I'm going to just do is I'm going to say for the early fraction is going to be above 0. So I just want to see which horses have competed in a race like this and run a figure fast enough to win. Okay? Now, there might be horses that never actually competed in a race like this. So, you may be shorting yourself and cutting horses out that, just haven't had the opportunity. But, these horses have run enough. There's the claiming 12-5. They've probably seen it all. So I don't think this list is that bad in terms. I think that, this is what you see. I think these are the horses that can run fast enough, with a pace scenario that what we project today of greater than 0. So now we've narrowed the list down significantly to the 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7. And for me, this would be kind of the starting point of my handicapping. So let's go back to the list and let's just look at the odds for those horses that we mentioned. So the 1 is 5-1, meets our criteria, and the 7 and the 2, we talked about the 2 don't. So what we're left with is the 1, 4, and 5 actually meeting the criteria. So that would be our starting point, and we would drill down. Again, we think this is a great race for an opportunity for a horse to, for a contest player. So basically what we've done is we've been able to drill down using the information in grid and sorting and filtering. There's a lot more you can do, but at least this is a starting point. Or if you're just, again, a contest and you need to do some speed handicapping or whatever, this is a great way to do it. And that's our assessment, and that's our race of the day today, October 13th. Thanks.